Sometimes when we're doing something new, like for example a mindfulness-based cognitive therapy course, it's really useful for us to know where we are in that process. How far down the road have we come? How far have we got to go? Are we going in the right direction? Those sort of questions tend to pop into our minds. So on this particular course, you're on session 5, which means that taking it session by session, because there are 8, you're more than halfway through, obviously. There is also something which we call the feast, which replaces the all day that we have on those group sessions that we have where everyone's actually physically there together. So the feast is a collection of meditations, of contemplations. There's a film to watch. There's all sorts of things which we hope will contribute to helping you have a mindful practice. So let's have a quick look at where we've got to so far. In the first half of this course, we looked at the things that we're doing already, but looking at them in a very different way. So we learned to stop or to go much more slowly than we normally do, and to notice when we're in automatic pilot, to notice how thoughts can come into our mind without any warning, without any particular preparation by us. They just turn up, and we learned that those thoughts, whilst they come unexpectedly, will also pass in front of us and disappear out the other side. We looked at how things are, generally speaking, and the normal things that we do, but in a different way. In this session, we've taken a slightly different stance. We've said, what do you do when things become difficult? What happens when difficulty comes into your life? Obviously, the chances that your life will become more difficult in synchronization with the fact that you happen to be doing a mindfulness-based cognitive therapy course and you've arrived at session 5 are pretty remote. So what are we trying to do here? We don't expect you to be having difficulty at the moment, so why are we banging on about it? And it's this simple, really. The trick with this course is to give you resources to use through the rest of your life. People who take this course, many people who take this course, find that the way that they deal with things becomes very different to how it used to be. So here we're looking at what happens when you encounter difficulty, whenever it is. We don't want you to have difficulty in your life, but it's pretty inevitable that at some stage you will have. So we're equipping you to deal with it when it happens. What we're doing is we're re-examining what happens when things don't go so well. And we're doing that in a really elementary way. What we're doing is we're saying, why do we expect things to go well? It's obvious that things won't always go well. So why do we live our lives hoping that they might? And most of us do. I mean, for most of my life, I've said things like, I hope we're lucky with the weather for something important, maybe a wedding or something, or I hope this goes well, or let's make sure that something happens and maybe it doesn't and we're disappointed. Mindfulness treats this situation in a rather different way. It says, inevitably, things won't turn out sometimes the way you would like them to be. It will rain on your cricket match or your wedding, or people won't do what you want them to do. Things will go wrong. Mindfulness is not about things going wrong less often. It's about equipping ourselves so that whether they go the way we hoped or whether they go the way that we suspected that they might, we cope very well. We just take on board the fact that sometimes things will be the way we want and sometimes they won't. And we don't get het up about that. We don't criticize ourselves. We don't criticize the situation. We simply take on board the fact that that's an inevitable consequence of life. Let's go over to Yoka, who has some practical ways of dealing with the sort of difficulties that inevitably come up in our lives.